Locked in. Long, long ago, there was a kingdom so far away that it was right next to fairyland. This day, the king and queen were happy beyond words, for they had been blessed with a lovely little daughter. And they had announced a celebration so grand that all the fairies of fairyland were invited to the baby's naming ceremony so that they may shower the princess with their finest blessings. Oh, I can't wait for all the fairies to arrive. What all will they shower on my lovely child? Maybe eternal wealth, or a potion of perfect loveliness, or maybe even some magical powers. The proud parents hosted a ceremony grand and beautiful. The princess was called Princess Diana. All the invited fairies showered the child with their gifts. Last of all was the fairy godmother, the queen of fairyland. The fairy godmother came ahead and kissed the child and whispered her blessing of a fearless heart in her ear. Everybody only saw the kiss, while no one heard the blessing. The queen whispered to her lady-in-waiting, mind you, not so softly, "Oh, just a kiss? I cannot see anything precious about that. Not much of a gift, is it? That too from the fairy godmother herself." The fairy godmother heard it all. She bore the queen's insult with grace and decided that it was time to teach a bit of a lesson to queens who thought more of gifts than being respectful to their guests. "Since people have not liked or understood my previous gift, I give you another. You shall marry the Prince of the Lightless Heart." The king and the queen were petrified and panicked, for they thought that the Prince of a Lightless Heart meant that a prince who had within him no light or love, or the light of kindness or the light of joy. They thought that the Prince of a Lightless Heart meant a prince who was a bad person.
Our daughter cannot marry the Prince of a Lightless Heart. Never.
What can we do against a fairy's curse?
I am a king and my daughter will be protected.
So the king got a grand, beautiful garden built. The garden was full of orchards of the sweetest fruits, the most fragrant flowers. In the middle of the garden, he built a tower and surrounded the garden with a wall so high that only the sun could just about manage to sneak into it with its rays of light. The garden was locked in 3 gigantic gates, and hundreds of knights guarded the gates day and night. And this tower is where the princess grew up. She longed to leave the garden and go out into the world beyond the high wall. She was sad and felt almost no light of joy in her heart. She would read fairy tales and lose herself in the stories of lands far and beyond. But the story she liked best was that of Rapunzel, who was locked in a tower, just as she was.
How many times have we told you that you cannot leave this tower?
You are cursed! My poor Diana! You are cursed! Mother, how do we know that it was a curse? You know that fairies often talk in riddles. Hence, there is no way to be sure that the Prince of a Lightless Heart is necessarily a bad person.
What else could it possibly mean, Diana?
I don't know, but I refuse to assume that something is bad just because I do not understand it. And Father, why should I stay locked in like this, just because some prince has an unusual kind of heart?
That is enough, Diana. Can't you even put cups on a table properly? Sorry, Your Highness? Sorry, my foot. Get out!
Father, it was not his fault. It was yours.
How dare you!
You were the one who spilt the tea. Diana, do not insult your father like this. I'm sorry, Mother. I had no intention of insulting you, Father. I'm merely stating the truth. As king, you must be the paragon of justice in our land. How can you blame others for your own mistake? Oh, Diana! I apologize to you on behalf of my father. Please understand, he is ever so worried about my safety.
Oh, no, Your Highness. Please do not apologize to me. You are so kind. Thank you so much.
Not very far away from this kingdom was riding a prince who was set out to see the world. One day, as he was traveling through a forest, he saw an old man panting under a tree. The man looked unwell.
What happened, sir?
How will I ever reach my home on top of that mountain? For the heat of the sun has taken away all my strength to climb.
I shall take you on my horse.
Oh no! The mountain is too steep. Your horse will not be able to climb it.
Then I shall carry you on my back and take you to your home.
And that is exactly what the prince did.
Oh, Prince! You're indeed a very kind man. As a token of my gratitude, let me tell you a secret. I can see great perils in your coming days, but at the same time, the princess with a fearless heart will save you. She is as kind as she is courageous, and she will be your true companion.
The old man told the prince where he must head to find the princess, and he also told him that the princess's fearless heart will introduce her to him. So the prince traveled for days together. Back in the princess's palace, one night she had a strange visitor. Hello, my princess. You? You are my fairy godmother. Ah! You recognize me? I have heard so much about you. You have heard about me? Or about my so-called curse? Aren't you angry at me? Why should I be angry at you? I believe that nothing by itself is either a curse or a blessing. It becomes what one makes of it. It is time for you to embrace your destiny. For that, you must leave the palace. I wish. I am your fairy godmother. Call out to me when all seems lost, okay? And take this, a bit of magic. For tonight, you will need it. Magic? Remember, magic helps only those who have the heart to use it right. So that night, Diana went out into the garden for a walk, holding the magical stones. Suddenly, a strange mist fell over the palace. What in the world is going on? Suddenly, a strange light made itself visible before Diana, beckoning her to follow it.
Come, Diana. Follow the light. Walk to your destiny.
Diana followed that light. Miraculously, all three of the gates of the garden threw themselves open for her. Huh? Diana realized that she was invisible to all the soldiers keeping guard at the gates. The fairy godmother really wants me to go out of the palace. Embrace your destiny. Diana kept following the light through the mist right outside the palace. The gates of the palace closed behind her, and she followed the light right into the forest beyond. And as she stood in the forest, the light disappeared into the moon. The mystified princess was out of the palace for the first time in her life, and she stood mesmerized. Is this what the outside world feels like? It is beautiful. Diana stood long and happy in the middle of the forest, admiring the moonlight, taking in the sounds and fragrances of the night. Suddenly, she heard a strange sound. She quickly climbed a tree to see. She saw a flock of people trying to scare a poor tiger. They had arrows strung on their bows, ready to shoot. The poor tiger was trying to escape them, and suddenly, he found himself near a river. The prince who was sleeping nearby too heard the pathetic roars of the creature and headed in the direction of the sounds. Stop! Don't shoot! Let the poor creature go!
Get out of our way. The tiger tried to attack our animals.
Then build a fence around your lands, but let the creature go. Put down that bow and arrow, now!
She is your princess. Don't you dare attack her.
What? Really?
How did you know who I am?
I was told that a princess with a fearless heart lives in this kingdom.
And who are you?
I am Edwin, the Prince of Greenland, a kingdom beyond the mountains. Never before have I seen such selflessness and such fearlessness, my lady.
And what brings you here, Prince Edwin?
I wanted to travel the world for a year and render help wherever needed.
You did just help me now. Thank you.
Would you please accompany me for a ride?
I would love that. As they rode along, the prince and princess did not realize when they entered the dreaded forest, which belonged to the wizard with the 3 dragons. The wizard loved to hurt people and try his magic on them just for fun. He saw the prince and the princess in the crystal ball, so he changed his form to that of an old man.
Do not ride in this forest, for it belongs to the wizard with the 3 dragons who has powerful dark magic.
Oh,
Why don't you spend the night in my little cottage over there? You can ride in the morning, for he loses his powers at the break of dawn.
And so, the wizard, who was jealous of anyone good and happy, tricked the princess and the prince and took them to his home. There, when they saw the perilous artifacts of his horrifying home, the prince's heart was filled with terror for a moment. And that was exactly what the wizard had been waiting for he needed fear to work his terrible spell.
what a horrifying place, Diana!
Disturbing, yes, but I don't find it horrifying. The wizard simply seems to have weird taste. The wizard cast a spell on both of them, but as it turned out, the spell only caught the afraid heart of the prince. Since Diana was not afraid, the spell couldn't touch her. Because of the spell, the prince was changed to stone. Diana stood shocked. But seeing that the spell had not touched her, the wizard was even more shocked.
How in the world did the spell not touch you, princess? Nobody has ever remained untouched by my spells over 1,000 years of my life.
Suddenly, the entire dungeon of the wizard started crumbling. The princess was woe-struck to see her princess stone, but the fearless princess remembered the black stones that the fairy godmother had given her. She took one and touched the prince's stone body with it, and slowly but surely, the stone started melting and he came to life. Just then, the first ray of dawn broke and she saw hundreds of stones nearby and realized that they were all people who the wizard had turned to stone. Now I have just 1 stone left, and there are hundreds of people to be rescued. Help me, fairy godmother. What do I do? Touch the stone to the wizard's crystal ball. But before that, Prince, take the wizard to the circle around the crystal ball and tie him to the 3rd dragon there. The prince and the princess did as they were told. The moment Diana touched the stone to the crystal ball, a flow of water emerged from the ball, flooding the room. And as the water touched the different statues, the people started coming back to life. And as more and more people came back to life, the wizard started becoming stone. And that way, would he now remain forever.
Thank you, dear Prince and Princess. You saved our lives.
Princess Diana and the prince went back to Diana's palace.
I do so wish to marry your daughter, Princess Diana, Your Highness.
But are you aware that my daughter is cursed to marry the prince of the lightless heart?
I beg your pardon? Could you please be kind enough to repeat the name?
The prince of the lightless heart. my daughter.
Your Highness, I am the Prince of the Lightless Heart. What?
What?
Well, my people think of me as a kind prince who brings the light of joy, hope, and love to those who have lost it in their lives. They say that I bring light to lightless hearts, and hence they call me the Prince of Lightless Hearts. That is what they gifted me a few years back.
Locked in this tower, I had lost the light of hope and happiness in my heart, and my fairy godmother led me to you. I told you, Mother and Father, we could not assume that this was a curse. It might have been a curse. Diana, had you not been kind with the tiger or fearless before the wizard. I am so sorry for insulting you on the day of the naming ceremony. I was mean and small. Please forgive me. Of course, the fairy godmother forgave the queen, and the Prince of the Lightless Heart and Princess Diana got married and lived happily ever after. And so it is. If we have a noble heart that seeks only to be fair and to help others, and if we are fearless, we can turn any bad situation into a blessing.